Hey
Hello.
there.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome Oops. I didn't go live. We're live.
Oh, it says you're live now. Well,
Welcome to the
that game was a whole lot more fun to watch than last week. But I thought we were going to mess up there at the end.
and 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 the Bills pulled it together.
Yes, they did. Well, they held it together.
Who
They
did?
definitely pulled it together from last week.
Mm, mm. And Kyle Allen has to remember this is not his offense that he was driving. This was not this wasn't Kyle Allen's offense, right?
Well, yes, it is Kyle's offense because they are a team that the offense doesn't just belong to Josh. If they don't have a team mindset and the offense thinks they only have to, come up to a head when Josh is quarterbacking, they're not going to do well because there are going to be times Kyle Allen has to play football. And he needs to know that that offense is going to work as hard for him as it works for Josh.
Mm, we have
It,
zero
it's
we have zero viewers so far.
That's okay. We can still chat. If nobody comes into view, they can watch it later on and see what we had to say.
Mm, and I think the Bills had their ups and downs today.
Just like every other game. And it's still, it's just still early. I think we'll see a completely different game the next time they play because they'll be playing for keeps then.
And how do you talk about the punt block from the Bears?
Well, I wasn't surprised because the first time he kicked, they looked like they got awfully close to him. He's got to either punt quicker or not step up as far. That was a little concerning to me, and I mean, I'm just a viewer. I'm not a football aficionado, but I did notice the first time he kicked how close he was to the other team when he kicked. And that's a disaster for possible failures when
And
punting.
and and I think the Bills should have gotten the ball after I think the rules should have been after the Bears when the Bears kicker completely missed the ball. Trenton kicker. I thought the Bills should have gotten the ball.
Yeah, I still think back to that play in the very first interception as they showed that play, as they rewound it and showed that play, the guy that actually intercepted the ball had pulled on our receiver's jersey halfway across the field and kept him from being able to get to the other side of the field, raced ahead of him and got in position for the interception. And I still think there should have been a holding call all the way back there. And it's hard. It's hard because uh, you know, there are plays that are going to go by that aren't caught, and it's going to happen for both teams. It just is. But it's disheartening early in a game when a referee misses a call and it results in something like an interception. That's just disheartening to me. But I thought overall, I thought the referees did a great job. They didn't make a lot of bad calls. They didn't call stuff that was questionable. They seemed to really have their act together, and that was nice to see.
Hmm. How do you feel about how did you feel about Kyle Allen today?
I think Kyle, playing backup to one of the best in the NFL has got to be hard. Ky- Josh is one of the best because he gets a lot of practice. He gets to work with the team the most, and he gets to know all the ins and outs. Kyle steps in when he's needed, so he doesn't get the same amount of practice. He He doesn't get the same amount of time with the offense. And so he's never going to look as good as Josh, no matter how good he is, just because Josh gets all the practice. It's that way with anything in life. I play the piano. I'm a good piano player because I practice a lot, as opposed to someone who sits down maybe an hour a week and practices. Um, I get more time at the piano. I put my fingers on the piano. I look at the music a lot more. So I'm going to play better. Now, there are people that play a lot better than I do because they spend 24/7 looking at the music and playing the piano and listening. And so, in any field, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And Josh Allen will always get more out of quarterbacking than Kyle Allen will because he just gets more opportunity to practice.
How would you rate our defense 1 through 10 today?
I would give the defense I'd give them a pretty good 9 today. There's room for improvement still. There were a couple of very confused looking plays, like they didn't quite know what they were doing. But again, that comes back to we had second string playing. These guys aren't the ones that have had the same amount of practice. So the nice part is, if they're needed this year, they'll be great at stepping in, I think, to fill out a hole if there's a hole. But I'm hoping and praying that our first string guys, our starters, will just have a really healthy, safe year this year with football.
And the Bills didn't get sacked that much today.
No, they didn't. I tell you what, I think it was about halfway through the. Ugh, I'm going to say it was about halfway through the second quarter that I noticed we got some big football players. And I need to go back and learn names and numbers if I'm going to talk about them. But I do remember the numbers. Number 98 and number 99 are some big boys. And just watching them in the huddle reminded me a little bit of Refrigerator Perry. They're that big. They look like they would be walls to run into. And so that's got to be a little intimidating for whoever's, you know, in the middle of that defensive line to be looking across at a mountain that you got to cross to get to the quarterback. So I, I would commend our coaching and everyone that's involved in the decisions of who to put on the line. My son played on the line when he was in high school, and there are videos from those games with me yelling block, 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 because I know the ball doesn't go anywhere unless the blockers do their job. They're kind of low man on the totem pole for recognition, but if they do their job right, the quarterback's going to succeed and look incredible. And so I always find myself watching those people too.
I'm looking forward for us to go to Applebee's.
Yep, that'll be fun. We'll do that September 11th. And I'm going to Michigan next weekend. And when I get back, that'll be one of my priorities is to get everything arranged for that night. Okay.
Could I help get everything arranged?
When I get back and see what we need to do, I will let you know what you can do to help. Okay.
Right? And did you see the one? Oh, we got one comment. Hi, Scooby.
Do you know who calls you Scooby?
No, that that was that's somebody watching.
That's good. That's good.
And
And
the,
maybe later today and tomorrow, people will watch when they get through watching other channels. They may check in to see what you did here. So
and how how would you rate our offense today? 1 for 10.
I enjoyed watching the offense, but I will say I enjoyed it the best during the first quarter when Josh was on the field. Um, Kyle's a good football player, but I feel like when Josh is out there, I don't feel as worried about something bad happening. When Kyle's out there, and it's not necessarily going to be Kyle's fault, But I'm a big believer when Kyle throws a pass and it gets intercepted, it's not just on Kyle. The person that's supposed to be receiving that ball is supposed to have made an effort to get away from the defender from the other team. And if the ball gets intercepted, there were two people involved in that play, and there were blockers involved in that play, and there were people that were supposed to open that play up. And so we jump and say, "Oh, Kyle shouldn't have thrown that ball." But if they've practiced it and it worked in practice, it should work on the field unless somebody doesn't do their job right. And so I enjoyed the game. I wasn't worried that Kyle's going to mess up a whole lot this week. Like I told you earlier today, they got spanked last week when they played, and so and then I think going old school in practice this week and reminding them they're football players and they've got to know the basics if they're going to keep going. I think going old school with the practices and running laps and taking them back to Pee Wee football. I think it paid off for them and brought them knocked some sense into their heads without having to be banged up by other football players.
And
It was a good week for the Bills.
how many penalties was there for the Bills
I
today?
didn't hear, but I know it wasn't as many as last week.
And and hopefully we don't see Kyle Allen on the field for 18 for for 20 games.
No, I don't wish that on Kyle. Uh,
No,
Kyle needs Kyle needs to be on the field occasionally so that when we really do need him to step up, he can. But I understand you're saying that you hope Josh is able to play every quarter for 18 weeks, and that would be really nice if that happened. But that means the rest of the team has to do their job really well to protect him and to keep him um, on the field as much as possible and give him time to rest off the field because everybody's doing their job right.
how, what do you think the Bills haters are thinking so far today?
The Bills haters.
Yeah.
Is that you know what? I don't even know how to think like a Bill hater because I have never been a Bill hater. Um, I think people that hate the Bills are going to do it. It doesn't matter what the Bills do. That's a decision those people have made. And if they're a Bill hater, that tells me a lot more about them than it tells me about the Bills.
Mm,
No football team deserves to be hated, period. And no football player deserves to be hated. I do know in the past there were some pretty mean football players and vicious football players. They got enough rules now that these guys know how to play the game and play it fair. And I mean, you're going to see them try to get away with stuff. We saw that today with a lot of the holding and things. But if you're a Bill hater and you happen to be watching this, my heart breaks for you that you don't even know how to enjoy a game. It's a game. And doesn't matter how much money somebody makes. It doesn't matter how much money somebody bets and wins or loses. In the end, this is just a game. It's for entertainment. And you can choose. The thing I don't understand is for you to be a Bill hater, that means you have to watch the Bills. Why would you watch something you hate? That doesn't make much sense. So I think I'd find a better way to spend my time than sitting around hating on something.
mm, that's one thing I could say to my Jets friend. Mm,
There you go. There you go. He doesn't have to watch the Bills if he doesn't want to. And that's, you know what? That means he misses all the good stuff.
and and how do you think the Bills are gonna be week one? Do you think are they ready?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not really a super duper person I'm not an expert in football. I will say I have a lifelong involvement in football. I don't know if I've ever told you my dad coached junior college football when I was little, and I grew up sitting on the college football field while my dad was out coaching. I can remember being 7 or 8 years old at the football field. Both my brothers played football. My son played football. um, I can probably count on two hands how
And
many games I've missed through the years. I like football. So, are the Bills ready for the season to start? Absolutely. I think they've had good camps. I think they are positive about each other. Um, I saw a lot of smiles on the sidelines today, and they didn't see. Last week after last week's game, I believe they talked about the practice when they went into the practice. It wasn't very nice because they were all kind of upset. I don't think they'll go into practices upset after this game. They know they've got what it takes now.
and what would happen? What do you think? What would happen if the team was the starters? Like if the backups were the starters, what do you think? What would happen to us?
If our backups were our starting team, is that what you asked?
Yeah.
If our backups were our starting team, we would have won the game because that's what we did today. Our backups played 3 quarters of the game and won the game for us. And
Do you think?
so I think our backups are ready to back up, and I think our starters are ready to start.
What do you think? What would happen if Kyle Allen was our starter during the regular season?
You know what? Kyle did just fine today. You could see how upset he was when he messed up, and that's good. He beat himself up. But you know what I noticed? His teammates came alongside to try to encourage him, and he actually hit their hands away, like, "Don't tell me I'm okay." Um, Kyle knows what he can do, and he gets frustrated when he can't do what he knows he should be able to do. Kyle will be a good quarterback. It's hard to play in the shadows of a great quarterback. I'll tell you a funny story. I lived in Ruston, Louisiana, home of Louisiana Tech University. When I was in high school, Terry Bradshaw was playing quarterback at Louisiana Tech University. But he came in and he actually played behind a better quarterback. Um, Phil Robertson was considered the better quarterback and the person that should have gone into the NFL. But Phil was a country boy. He didn't want to play football. He wanted to go duck hunting. And everyone thought he was nuts when he gave up the opportunity to go into the NFL and let Terry Bradshaw step into the lead role because he wanted to go duck hunting. Well, Terry Bradshaw obviously went on and did very well in the NFL. Phil Robertson went on to create a duck dynasty that was a very popular show for a few years. And the man's a millionaire because he went after what his heart desired. And he's a wonderful Christian man. And he has put his testimony where his mouth is. And he walks the walk. And he didn't walk the walk until he got serious with wanting to become a duck dynasty owner and get right with God. And ever since he got right with God, he's been doing good, and God has blessed him. God has blessed Terry Bradshaw, who also has a relationship with the Lord. One of the things I found out, probably one of the best kept secrets in the NFL, is that a lot of NFL football players have wonderful relationships with God. It's the owners and the fans that don't understand how important faith is. A lot of the football players, they've got a grip on it. And last year, when DeMar got hurt, we got to see that a lot more people believe in God than the world wants us to think. And so I appreciate that part of it too. Um, if Kyle Allen were our quarterback, would we be in contention for the Super Bowl? Maybe in a year or two. Um, but he would, if he were our quarterback, it would mean he's practicing every play. I think he'd be a better quarterback if he were our, because he'd get more practice time. So that's just me, my humble opinion. That means nothing because I'm nothing more than an armchair fan that loves the Bills.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Did you see the one YouTube channel endorsed my channel?
I did see your endorsement. That was pretty awesome. And I think that guy's right. You need to keep trying. You never know who's going to pop in and watch. Uh, Right now, the game is fresh over, and I'm sure everybody that has a Bills channel is doing some kind of after game thing. And so people have to pick and choose which ones they're going to. But I have a feeling you'll have some people peeking in and watching this video later. So keep doing what you're doing. You ask great questions, and your enthusiasm comes through. So I think that's great.
I I like having guests come on my channel.
Yeah, it helps to have someone to talk to that you can see, huh? Instead of staring into a camera and hoping you're looking at somebody.
Oh, oh, we got a viewer. What is this?
Uh-uh. What is this? This is just two Buffalo Bills fans talking about how great they thought the game was and if we think our team is ready. So thanks for joining us. Stay as long as you want. We know there's lots of people doing it, but it's nice to have someone else in here.
And 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 how? So where are you watching? Which one for the Bills?
Are you asking me or are you asking the person that's watching?
Both.
Okay. Well, I'm watching from home in New York. So I don't know if the person that's, oh, we lost them already. So, but that's nice. And that's what's going to happen after you archive this, people will be able to come back and see it later. And you'll pick up some viewers that will check it out later.
And I I don't normally go live on the weekends.
Yeah. You know, I would
And
make a suggestion. You have a great backdrop in your bedroom from where you were talking to me from last night with your jerseys and stuff on the wall. I would suggest whenever you go live, you try to be there if you can, because that makes just a great backdrop to show what a great Bills fan you are.
and 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 how who are you planning to invite for which one watch party at Applebee's?
Um, I will tell you that after I get back from Michigan, because right now I've got to get through one more work week and get through a trip home to see my mother in law and family. And I need to make those priorities right now. I try not to get too far ahead of myself because then I forget the stuff that I got to do closer to. And but we'll have I know somebody from church has already mentioned to me that they might be interested in joining us too. So we'll just open it up and see who comes.
And,
I know I'll be there and I know you will be there.
and are we gonna make Applebee's busy?
I'm sure Applebee's will be busy on game night anyway because they'll have the game on TV and a lot of people will show up to watch it there. So,
How
well,
much money
I
should I bring?
do what?
How much money should I bring?
Just bring whatever you want to. I will provide, your first soda pop and some appetizers, and then if you want something else to drink, I'll let you take care of that. But we'll make sure that we have a good time. And I've
Okay.
enjoyed doing this. But I actually, right as the game was ending, one of my sons came in to visit. So I stepped out on the porch so I could do this with you. But I need to get back in my house and visit with my son.
Can I ask
So
you? Can I ask you one more time, Preston?
yeah, absolutely.
And do you think should I go live? Should I go live during the game at Applebee's? Should I go live?
You could, if you wanted to, but you could let people know that that night you're hoping to do something special. But you should check with the Applebee's to make sure it's okay to go live inside the restaurant because
Eh,
they
eh,
may want us to keep quiet or stuff because there's other people eating there.
any final message that you want to say to anyone that might
I would
watch this later?
I would I would just say if you're not a fan of Jacob yet and you get to know him, you'll be a fan. Um, Jacob has some special needs. He has autism, but man, oh man, has he risen above it to come. He asks great questions. He obviously loves the Bills, and that's why I'm here. I want to support Jacob and help his channel grow. And so I hope if you're watching this and wondering what it is, you'll realize it's just a young Buffalo Bills football fan giving all he's got to cheer on his team. And that's awesome. And Jacob, I commend you for all you're doing and for your great questions. You made this a lot easier than I thought it would be. So thank you for that.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining me. Go Bills and God bless.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Mhm.